dad always uses this, but when he's not here, rarely anybody else does. I think I want a fresh set of batteries. It's still listed as free, but now were you doing only the meditation? Okay, I've got it turned on, but I've got the mic muted. But
Put it around the back.
yeah, what I do is, yeah, that direction. I go with the,
Oh, I see what you mean with the hair.
okay,
Mm,
you got a head of hair.
sure do.
Um,
Okay, hold on to that for a second. Let's see if I can put it up. So I can get the head there.
okay, come in from behind.
Yeah. Where's my ear? Okay, where's my, no? Am I close? Okay, like that.
How's the, okay, you don't have nowhere close to mine.
The hair is the hair.
Okay,
Okay.
you have a place where you can put that.
Not really. Well, I can put it on my.
Pocket to put it in.
I can put it on my, maybe on my skirt.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now, I'll try to keep an eye on everything. I don't want to turn everything on because that's when I get feedback.
Okay.
But I'll try to pay attention to you and unmute things
Mm-hmm.
when I see people getting up. If I don't have you on in the first few words, just jump up and down and wave your hands.
Okay. Okay. So, but for now, you want me to just turn it off, right? For now, you want me to turn it off?
Just leave it on.
Just leave it on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
that's why I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
once I see that you're up and,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I want to see you walking away.
Uh-huh.
Immediately start talking. Once you get up front, I'll see that you're up here and unmute.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. And for the between the benediction and thing, I'm going to just sit up there.
Test it real quick.
Okay. All right. That was it, right? You hear it? Yeah. That's,
It's
yeah.
closer to your mouth than most people have. You don't have a big one.
No. Is it too loud?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay.
So, but now what happens if I sing during the thing? So don't sing any of the songs, or? Oh, you're not going to turn it off. It's going to be off.
Turn it off.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
I've got to stay on top of things, but I'll do my best.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Brought friends too.
Hi, Robin. Yes, I did.
See ya.
I did. I have a good friend here, Silvana. She's talking to my husband. You met her right there, talking to. Yes, please say hello to her. This is her first time here.
I did.
We met back in September, and we've been talking. And when I mentioned it, because she's very much interested in Native things, so she's been going to the sweat lodges that I go to and all that. And so I told her about this, and I thought she was just going to zoom in. And I looked up and I walked out of the car. She was coming out of her car at the same time. Yeah. So, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we got the sound set up.
Fan club. I am. Hi, Silvana. Nice to meet you. You're a built-in part of the fan club.
Yeah, yes, Abdul.
Yes, yes. Well, it's lovely to see you guys this morning.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Yeah, I am too.
We were initially planning this service. We were talking about, wouldn't it be kind of cool to tie in like culinary customs? Because of course Thanksgiving even if you like forgive the historical context, like we have made it about food and about family and gathering. Yeah. And everybody was like, who do we know? And I was like, we do know. Excellent. Very excited to hear that.
Okay. There's a book for you. Oh yeah, very, very. How long did it take you to get here? Oh. Oh, okay, good. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Ooh, oh no. Excuse me, she just thinks it's about anybody. It's not. It's a service. This is worship. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Oh, my glasses. I gotta get my glasses cleaned off. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am so glad you are here with us this morning, either here in person or via live stream. This past week, many of us have celebrated Thanksgiving. I, like maybe many of you, have to admit that I have a complicated relationship with this holiday. I try to live my life with gratitude and feeling grateful for the things that make my life better. My family, my friends, experiences, and many other things. So I've always loved a holiday that encourages that. Sometimes it is hard for us to be grateful in the world that we live in. But there is this holiday each year that encourages us to do that. But then as I grew older and became more educated and learned more, I've learned a little more of the truth of Thanksgiving. And it's not the pretty picture that we have all been taught when we were young. So on this Sunday following Thanksgiving, I want to do a land acknowledgement and acknowledge that we are on the stolen land of the Unawati people and the Catawba people. And I want to share some words that were written by indigenous folks. You can find this on the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture website. Every community owes its existence and vitality to the generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led us to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that has brought us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths whenever you can. In a service earlier this month, Scott answered Bernie Kukuski's auction sermon question by saying, we need to tell the truth. So as we learn more and reckon with our history, it's important to tell the truth about it. As is our custom, our minister, Scott Neely, is out of the pulpit one Sunday a month, and today is that Sunday. I can promise you that this is a gift that most ministers do not receive. So with gratitude for the culture of this place. He'll be back with us next Sunday. So today, we have the privilege of hearing from one of our very own, Patricia Hakeem. It's been my pleasure to work with Patricia this week, putting the service together, and I'm excited that I get to introduce her because many of you already know her. Patricia has been associated with UUCS since 2009 and a member since 2013. She came to Spartanburg 20 years ago via Puerto Rico, her adopted home of 25 years. Of Gullah, Cherokee, and Choctaw heritage, with a heavy dose of Scotch-Irish thrown in, Patricia has been a medical technologist and an English teacher, a professional storyteller, I think we're in for a treat, an herbalist, a culinary instructor, vegan and living foods chef specializing in international cuisine. She regularly participates in traditional Native American cultural events, such as powwows and sweat lodges with local intertribal groups. Her favorite pastime is trying out new recipes with her two granddaughters, Sephora and Gabriella. We are in for a real treat this morning. Patricia, welcome.
Come over for dinner one day.
Oh, yeah.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everything must change. No one stays the same. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart will heal, but never much too soon. No one stays the same. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life we can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and butterflies do fly. And rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, sick, and music makes me cry.
Good morning. My name is Virginia McLean, and I serve on the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. It is my delight to welcome you all this morning, whether you are here in person or watching virtually. This is a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome, just as we are. There are many important announcements found in the back of your bulletin on the sheet entitled Connect. And please allow me to just highlight a few of them. The first one is a welcome for visitors. We are so glad that you are here. We would love to get to know you better, so if you will fill out the form in the little pocket on the seat in front of you, we will be glad to contact you and let you know more about our services and different things that we offer here at the church. On December 11th, we will celebrate Teddy Bear Sunday at the 11 a.m. Sunday morning service. Bring a new or clean and gently used teddy bear or other stuffed animal for the annual intergenerational Teddy Bear Sunday. Our holiday menagerie will be given to Project Rest and the City of Spartanburg Public Safety for children separated from their families. Share warmth, share love. Thank you for making this a place of warmth and kindness every time we gather across all of our differences. Thank you everyone for all you do and all you give to make this world a more livable place for everyone. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Mel Fritchie, and I am joyfully serving as your worship associate this morning. I would like to remind everyone, especially if you are visiting for the first time, that we have our beautiful Pride project going on up here, wherein we are inviting you at any time, yes, during the service, to come up and add your own coloring or your own drawings to this mural, which we are going to happily display as a symbol of love. We are lighting our chalice this morning with reading number 614, The Sacred Hoop. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw. For I was seeing in the sacred manner the shape of all things of the Spirit, and the shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that make one circle, wide as daylight and starlight. And in the center grew one mighty flowering tree.
Please stand as you're willing and able and join me on hymn number 34 in your gray hymnal.
Ritual creates community. Community is what we all need. At this time in our service, we invite you forward to the rippling bowl. Outside the beautiful rippling bowl, there are stones and shells. We invite you to come forward and offer to this community your sorrows, your cares, your hopes, and your dreams by placing a stone or a shell in the rippling bowl. We create our community.
Now that your big eyes are finally open, now that you're wondering how must they feel, meeting them that you've chased across America's movie screens. Now that you're wondering how can it be real, that the ones you've called colorful, noble and proud, in your school propaganda, they starve and they splendor. You've asked for my comment, I simply will render. My country 'tis of the people you're dying. Now that the longhouses breed superstition, you force us to send the toddlers away to school where they're taught to despise their traditions, forbid them their languages, then for the same. American history really began when Columbus set sail out of Europe and stressed that the nation of leeches that conquered this land are the biggest and bravest and boldest and best. But where in your history books is the tale of the genocide basic to this country's birth? The preachers who lied, how the Bill of Rights failed, how a nation of patriots returned to the earth. And where will it tell of the Liberty Bell as it rang with the thud of her kin to a mud? And brave Uncle Sam in Alaska this year. My country 'tis of the people you're dying. Hear how the pardon was made for the West, with her shivering children at 0 degrees. Blankets for your land, so the treaties attest. Blankets for land is a bargain indeed. Blankets were those Uncle Sam had collected from smallpox disease, dying soldiers that day. Tribes were wiped out and history books censored. 100 years of your statesmen felt it's better this way. Few of the conquered somehow survived. Their blood runs the redder, though their genes have been paled. Grand Canyon's caverns to Craven's sad hills. The wounded, the losers, the robbed sing their tale. From Los Angeles County to upstate New York, the white nation fattens while others grow lean. The tricked and evicted, they know what I mean. My country 'tis of the people you're dying. The past it just crumbled, the future it threatens. Our lifeblood shut up in your chemical tanks. Now here you come, bill of sale in your hand, and surprise in your eyes that we're lacking in thanks for the blessings of civilization you've brought us, the lessons you've taught us, the ruin you've wrought us. See what our trust in America brought us. My country 'tis of the people you're dying. Now that choke on your blue, white, and scarlet hypocrisy, bidding the blindness you never see that the eagles of war, whose wings let you glory, they were never no more than your carrion crows. Pushed wrens from their nest, stole their eggs, changed their story. The mockingbird sings it, it's all that she knows. What can I do? Say I'm powerless for you, with a lump in your throat and a tear in your eye. Can't you see that their poverty's profiting you? My country, 'tis of the people you're dying.
As Unitarian Universalists, we welcome young voices. As Unitarian Universalists, we look for wisdom in all of the world's sources of wisdom. We have no single sacred text. We do have one very short sacred writing composed by this congregation. This is our covenant of how we attempt to live with one another. We don't get it right every single week, but we keep coming back to affirm who we are striving to become. The words of our covenant written by this congregation are found in your order of service. Please join me. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. Ritual creates community. Ritual creates joy. At this point in the service, we greet one another. We greet one another joyfully, carefully, and mindfully. Please take your cues from the person that you are greeting. If they are standing like this, rush into their arms. If they are seated in their seat, offer them a bow. We will now greet one another. Karen's pulling the plug. We are a grateful people. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us. A community of memory, faith, joy, hope, for we are the keepers of the dream. As we enter into a time of meditation and contemplation and sharing of knowledge, join with me as we share silence to prepare. Blessed be.
Good morning again. Is that too loud? Okay. It's so good to be here again and to be sharing with you all, and especially at this time. So I would like to begin by giving you the traditional Wampanoag greeting of Kuwikwasun. Did you all hear that? Kuwikwasun. Try to say that. You are in the light. This was probably the greeting that those first pilgrims in Massachusetts at Plymouth Colony received from the people of the first light, the Wampanoag or Wampanoag Indians, back in 1620. By 1621, they were celebrating that first great harvest, that Thanksgiving. 400 years later, we still, here in America, are celebrating or mourning that first Thanksgiving, depending on your perspective. So, how closely did that feast, our feast that we recently had, compare with that one so very long ago? Well, the Wampanoags and the Pilgrims probably enjoyed a young roasted wild turkey, freshly roasted ears of Indian corn, popukon, which is where we get the name pumpkin from, beans, squash, maple syrup, pheasant, freshly caught herring, eel, clams, oysters, berries, nuts, quail eggs, herbal teas, water, and maybe some deer meat. This pretty much constituted the staple diet of the Wampanoag as eastern woodland indigenous peoples. Now, cows, pigs, chickens, goats, sheep, sugar, salt, and vinegar were completely unknown to the Wampanoags and to all inhabitants of Turtle Island, which is the name that most Native American tribes called North American continent. These foods were brought over by the Pilgrims, and in later times, good old alcohol was introduced by Europeans who followed them. Unlike today, at that first communal harvest feast, they didn't have to worry if the turkey was antibiotic and hormone-free, or if the seafood came from polluted rivers or oceans, or if the corn was genetically modified, or if the veggies had been sprayed with chemical fertilizers or pesticides. No, they could sit back and truly enjoy the harvest dinner that they had produced with their own labor. And they were grateful for all the bounty that their creator, Ketan, and Mother Earth had provided. Indigenous peoples lived in a state of perpetual gratitude because their very survival was at stake. They were experts at recycling everything, and I believe that that served to remind them to be grateful. Nothing was wasted. Deer hide became clothing, blankets, and makus, which are moccasins. Turkey feathers became headgear. Bones and sinew were turned into tools to hunt and fish with, or as used as sewing needles. And things they even made were religious or musical implements. I'm going to demonstrate a few things to you. Bear with me for a minute. Did it? Okay, now, they recycled everything they used. The feathers had many uses. This is a prayer fan. This is a turkey feather. So when we're done, everything, we never even see the turkey feathers. By the time we get it, birds sitting there in Walmart, okay? Or Whole Foods, excuse me. Well, the Native Americans, those Wampanoags, recycled everything. So those turkeys were still living and honored in their memory because they were grateful to them having sacrificed themselves, maybe unwillingly, to sustain them. And this is a traditional prayer feather. This is another prayer feather and can also be used, I use it as a dance feather. This is bison bone here. I didn't eat this bison, but a friend of mine did, and they saved the bones and they made a beautiful feather for it with turkey feathers. So we got the turkey and the bison together and a little bit of the fur from the bison. This is a rattle used in religious ceremonies and at dance things. Guess what these are? Deer teeth. Okay? So again, these animals were honored and they lived on in the things that they created in their daily lives. The gourds that grow gave them nourishment, and they also were serving utensils. Turtles may have been on the menu at some point. Unfortunately, that's my totem, so I'd never do that. But you can't eat a turtle shell, but it does make a beautiful medicine bag. And they would put their herbs and their medicines, their sacred herbs, like sweetgrass and sage, in this medicine bag. Rattles for ceremonies and for children to play with, out of gourds again, and with the deer hide around it. And finally, the hide was turned to make a drum. This is a special drum that was gifted me by my friend who lives right near Columbia. I have a problem with thunder. It starts thundering, I put in earplugs. So she gave me this drum, and she said, to help you overcome your fear, shake this, and keep shaking it, and it'll drown out the sound of the thunder. Hasn't totally worked yet, but I try. So you can see that Native Americans were so grateful and appreciative of everything they had that they let absolutely nothing go to waste. And that's something for us to consider. After that dinner, whatever's not eaten, into the landfill. And that's why we have the situations we do today. So to continue, when was the last time you made a musical instrument out of a turkey bone? The traditional diet of all indigenous peoples of Turtle Island, as well as around the world, generally kept them healthy, fit, active, creative, and virtually free from the chronic preventable diseases that plague their communities today. Their knowledge and use of healing plants kept them mentally and spiritually healthy as well. Everything must change. And everything did change for the native peoples. After being forced off their ancestral lands, imprisoned on the most unproductive land, forbidden to hunt, to gather, to farm, or fish, they were made to subsist on government rations of white flour, white sugar, lard, canned beef or pork, and vegetables, salt and coffee. And even then, they made good use of what they had. They invented fry bread, which is just fried lard and flour and water. And Indian tacos, they call them, and they consume them unhealthily as they may be in powwows every weekend on Turtle Island. Although alcohol cannot legally be sold on any of the reservations, there's always a liquor store or two just over the boundaries of tribal lands. Sadly, these conditions still exist right now, today. But indigenous peoples are resilient, and there is a movement to reclaim their languages, religions, lands, and traditions, including their healthy foodways. A young Lakota chef named Sean Sherman is spearheading the movement with an indigenous food lab, touring the country, re-educating First Nation peoples about their traditional diet and herbal medicines. And he's recently opened an upscale restaurant in downtown Minneapolis that serves only pre-colonial indigenous food. That means no wheat, no dairy, no chicken, no pork, no beef, or cane sugar. So you might be asking, so what's on the menu? Well, what is on the menu is native harvested wild rice, various varieties of Indian corn, venison, turkey, duck, quail, buffalo, pheasant, berries, fish, clams, mussels, oysters, maple syrup, squash, beans, herbs, and crickets. Yeah, I said crickets. Crickets are on the menu. It's a hit, and people are retraining their taste buds while improving their health. Being a Lakota, he calls himself the sous chef, S-I-O-U-X, a clever play on sous chef, the culinary term. Across the globe, the movement continues with traditional diets being highlighted and reclaimed, not only for their delicious taste, but their health-promoting attributes. Michael Pollan, who some may know is a kind of a health food guru, author and filmmaker, 11 years ago said in an interview to the New York Times, listen to this please, he says, "I have yet to hear of any traditional diet in any culture, anywhere in the world, that is not substantially healthier than the standard American diet," which we also call SAD. The more we honor cultural differences in eating, the healthier we become. So what are some of these other traditional health ways, food ways? The Mediterranean and Middle Eastern food ways, with their heavy emphasis on olive oil, has been proven to keep them physically and mentally viable for years. Herbs such as thyme, oregano, basil, and rosemary have been shown to have antiviral, antibacterial, and mental health benefits as well. Latino and Caribbean food ways, which are heavily influenced by indigenous peoples. Have you ever had barbecue anything? Of course, we're in the Carolinas. Well, barbecue, the method and the seasonings that are used in barbecue comes from the Taino Indians from Puerto Rico and other islands. The word was originally barbacoa. So next time you have barbecue or jerk chicken or something, think of Tainos. That's where it came from. African, East Asian, and Chinese cultures are overflowing with health benefits. Chinese 5-spice powder, which some of you may have had knowingly or unknowingly, is based on traditional Chinese medicine. Excuse me. It offers in one blend the 5 tastes: sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and pungent, in perfect balance to aid in digestion and absorption of nutrients. Ayurveda, the ancient Hindu system of natural medicine, recognizes 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent, as being necessary to be consumed at every meal for optimal health. Curry powder, which is based on its powerhouse of turmeric root, full of antioxidants, hot chilies, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, garlic, onions. The list of proven health benefits is endless. The wise saying, "Let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food," is the rule of thumb in these cultures, both of which are 5,000 years old. And with populations of 1 billion persons each, they must be on to something. Most traditional food ways feature grains, vegetables, beans, and fruit, basically a plant-based meal. Meat, when eaten, is usually in very small portions and mixed in with the grains and vegetables, rather than the meat and 2 sides that we're familiar with here. Another factor to consider in traditional food ways is that in most traditional societies, the very act of sitting down and sharing multi-generational family meals is commonplace. This alone can convert everyday ordinary meals into feasts, something that often only occurs on holidays in the West. And now there's the Nordic or Scandinavian food way, full of healthy omega-3 fish, berries, whole grains, often gluten-free breads, rapeseed oil, and fresh herbs and vegetables. It's getting a lot of well-deserved attention these days. Many have heard of the Okinawan diet. Japanese people are known to live longer and healthier lives than anyone else on the planet. And Okinawans are the longest living and most active mentally, physically, and spiritually among the Japanese. Brown rice, seaweed, green vegetables, and sweet potatoes are the staples in their diet. Natto, which is fermented soybeans and definitely an acquired taste, fights heart disease, and gobo, or burdock root, cleanses the blood. Japanese and Africans and Southeast Asians enjoy some of the lowest rates of the most serious chronic diseases in the world, while the more westernized, commercialized nations suffer the most from preventable illnesses. Nearly all traditional diets are full of the same antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that we're spending a fortune on in the health food store, myself included, but in the most natural, unadulterated form. Living in the West, living in the wealthiest, most technologically advanced nation on earth, with a plethora of food choices, we have a lot to be grateful for. But we can't, and we shouldn't take it for granted. According to the World Health Organization's report for 2021, we suffer from the highest rates of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and kidney disease, all of which are preventable by better diet choices and lifestyle choices. While we argue or dither about the benefits of following a paleo or vegetarian, pescatarian, or vegan, or macrobiotic, or raw food, or organic, or a conventionally grown lifestyle, millions in Ukraine and Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Haiti, Afghanistan, South America, or right across town are hungry or starving. We bear responsibility, unfortunately, for some of this. It's been said recently that the craze for superfoods and high antioxidant foods like quinoa and amaranth, and moringa, and other foods, and even avocados, has put such a demand on the countries that they come from that the indigenous peoples there can no longer afford them themselves. Everything's being exported. So when we hear about these situations where people are suffering, we have to be extra thankful and also bear some responsibility and think more globally and not be wasteful of what we have. Because our situation can change overnight. Recent world events have made that abundantly clear. So the question is, are we preparing ourselves to be as resilient and adaptable as many traditional peoples are? It's something to think about. The Lakota people have a saying, Mitakuye Oyasin, all my relations. Means we are all connected. What happens to one eventually does affect us all. In that spirit, I would like, in conclusion, to read you a beautiful words of wisdom from a Buddhist monk highly revered in Tibetan Buddhism. His name is Shantideva, and he lived about 1,200 years ago. In fact, this prayer is part of the daily meditation of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And it goes as following. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Kuta Putush. Thank you.
Please stand as you're willing and able and join me on hymn number 121 in your gray hymnal.
We are a grateful people. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Patricia. Please join me as we extinguish the chalice in responsive reading number 512, found at the back of your gray hymnal. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks this day. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, we give thanks this day. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, we give thanks this day. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, we give thanks this day. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, we give thanks this day. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, we give thanks this day. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, we give thanks this day. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Thankfulness, while a beautiful quality, can often be a temporary emotion, while gratitude, being in a state of gratitude, can carry us through feast or famine. Let us strive to live in a constant state of gratitude.